24 meeting of the State Emergency Medical Services Council to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Thank you. Could we call the roll?
Sure. Allison Burke. Stephen Cady.
Steve Cady, present.
Scott Clark.
Here.
Dr. Krupe.
Bob Krupe, present.
Mark Devers.
Here.
Don Duval.
Duval, here.
Mickey Fornes.
Mickey Fornes here.
Carl Gandolfo.
Carl Gandolfo, present.
Gregory Gill.
Gregory Gill, present.
Jason Haig.
Jason Haig, present.
Teresa Hamilton.
Teresa Hamilton present.
Donald Hudson.
Hudson present.
Dr. Isaacs.
Isaacs, present.
Al Kim.
Al Kim, present.
Steve Kroll.
Kroll, present.
Andrew Knoll.
Andrew Knoll, present.
Jared Kutzen. Al Lewis.
Al Lewis, present.
Mike McAvoy.
McAvoy here.
Elizabeth McGowan.
Elizabeth McGowan present.
Mark Philippi. Marianne Portoro. Dr. Raybridge. Dr. Redlener. David Simmons. Carla Simpson.
Simpson present.
Christopher Smith.
Christopher Smith, present.
Chad Smith.
Chad Smith present.
And David Violante.
Violante, present.
We have quorum.
We have a quorum. Phew. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the February 7th, 2024 meeting.
Elizabeth McGowan will make that motion.
Carl Gandolfo, I'll second.
Any discussion, corrections, amendments to the minutes? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? Same sign. Any abstentions? Carries. Correspondence, I have two letters, both of which were posted in Boardable prior to the meeting and posted on the Bureau website. The first was received in February, shortly after our prior meeting, from the Mountain Lakes Regional EMS Council. The context of that letter, which you probably read, I'm not going to read both of these into the minutes since they were both published, is basically to request reconsideration of the early termination of the critical care program, believing that that's significant to the Mountain Lakes region. The second letter was from the Brookhaven Ambulance Company in Long Island, and they'll be speaking later in the meeting this morning, but the context of that letter was similar in that the action to sunset the CC program is not something that is in the best interest of their ambulance company. So both those were items of correspondence that received since the last meeting and prior to submitting things to EDCC. In Chairman's report, I have a couple items just to mention to people. May 15th for vetted SEMSCO members is the deadline to file your financial disclosure forms with the State Ethics Office. So you probably have received some emails from them pestering you to do that. Just keep that deadline in mind, that those need to be in by that time frame. And then I don't know if she's here, but this is Marie Diglio's last meeting after serving for probably 32 years here at SEMSCO, 37 years in New York City. And I saw her loading things in her car, but,
I think she's at lunch. I think she is coming back though.
okay. When she comes back, we can give her a round of applause to catch her by surprise. The First Vice Chairman, do you have any items?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. We heard over the past couple of days pretty loud and clear that we really need to have as an easier channel to invite some new blood to come and be a part of the committees and of SEMSCO. And to that end, Second Vice Chair Terry Hamilton and I are going to be working on an orientation program for folks to come, understand the roles and processes, and also for new members to be able to understand what's happening at the committee and SEMSCO level. So that work will be ongoing with us. And if anybody has any challenges that they've faced coming, please let us know and we can include that as part of solutions.
Or if they'd like to join us.
Or if they would like to join us, that would be wonderful as well. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Is that another committee you're going to volunteer me for, David?
You have a new person next to you, Carl. Volunteer someone else.
We've got Jennifer in there.
Was that eye contact, Carl? I'm sorry, just checking. Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks. Second Vice Chair?
No report.
So, sorry. I was glad that this subject came up yesterday, and Ryan and I actually chatted about it for a couple minutes. He asked if I had a solution, and unfortunately I don't. But it occurred to me looking around the table and around the room that this body is extremely management top heavy. When looking at ways to engage the next generation to sit at these tables and participate in these communities, we need to figure out a way to engage more providers from the streets, I think. If you're looking for younger providers that are looking at a career pathway, we need to figure out how to draw some of those people in. And unfortunately, most of the street providers don't have the luxury or the ability to attend meetings unless they have an extremely generous employer. But I think we need to include some more field perspective at all levels, from EMT through paramedic.
Thank you. Second Vice Chair?
No report at this time, sir.
All right, I'll move over to the Director for his EMS staff report. Director Greenberg?
Going to try and go the same model as the last time. I know everybody in the room has heard this, but just a reminder for those who didn't see it for the past, didn't see committees yesterday, who's watching online today, it's like a fresh start for them. So, Chief Major, briefly.
Director, thank you. I believe Drew was a little longer last time. I will say this from a, when history occurs, you should note it. I will say this, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak, but from an operations surveillance perspective, full service agency inspections across the state are occurring. We are seeing positive results related to a lot of traditional findings such as expired items, specifically hydrostatic test dates. One thing that has sort of popped up is naming conventions. We're finding many agencies naming conventions don't match what's on the op cert versus what's on their vehicles, so that's just something to keep in mind. On the full service inspection, we're working with the quality improvement side and looking at a QA assessment piece that we're adding to our full service inspections. We're working with Dave Vellante and his wonderful team. We are very, very excited adding in Central New York staff, a district chief. It'll be Vinny Ouimet. He'll be starting tomorrow. We look forward to that. On the so he'll be on the western side. He'll be in Central New York, Syracuse office, and also on the eastern in the Merrill office division. Carol Ackerman, she'll be starting up in June with us as a district chief, and so those are great additions that we're really looking forward to getting trained and up and running and integrating into our process. So one additional promotion on the western portion. District Chief Trepez, he has been promoted to agency licensing. He'll be the branch chief of agency licensing, so we look forward to backfilling his position on the western portion of the state, and we look forward to him optimizing and working with Section Chief Clayton and his team related to agency licensing. We are updating, will be updating, and it's in draft format at this point, Policy Statement 1201, which is currently our blood glucose and albuterol, thank you. Geez, drew a blank. Albuterol. We're going to update the policy to reflect the recent changes and the recent modifications. We had an assessment of Public Health Law 579.3, which basically describes the inclusion criteria to the waiver for CLIA licenses, CLIA waiver for blood glucose testing. Obviously, any certified entity that has AEMT or above is required to have a CLIA license. And the fee waiver, there's some criteria there that we'll be explaining. We have communicated that at various meetings across the state and trying to communicate it. We're working with the agencies that may have previously been approved for a waiver under our different inclusion criteria, but we have to come in compliance with the statute, and that's basically what's going on. So we want to make sure that that information is clear, concise, and certainly accurate from a standardization point. In addition to that, we'll be developing a new policy statement to formalize all of the adjuncts that require approval. So we'll have one policy statement that talks about all adjuncts, whether it be BLS albuterol, BLS 12 leads, syringe epi, et cetera, those adjuncts, how an agency gets those approvals and what those requirements are. So that's futuristically coming. For Part 18s, obviously it's Part 18 season. We've got District Chief Mercado on the east portion of the state and District Chief Lockwood on the west portion of the state. We would just encourage anybody that has EMS agency involvement with events that are greater than 5,000 to be familiar with the Part 18 regulations and encouraging any promoter to submit the applications and the supporting documentation early, 30 to 60 days in advance. We also are reviewing our submission portals to optimize those and ensure that we're trying to be as user-friendly as possible with those for the agency renewals, controlled substance renewals, and interim changes and some other future enhancements to those processes. The only other thing that I would add is the MOLS training remains active on Vital Signs Academy, and I would encourage everybody to encourage all providers to take that program. So thank you, that is all, unless there's questions. Drew?
Questions for you. Good afternoon, everyone. In the report for the education unit, I just want to go over a couple quick things. As staffing-wise, we are losing one of our longtime assistants by the name of Rosalie Garcia. She was a student assistant. She's graduating, and good for her. I just want to give a shout out to her, for she's been with us for a couple years now and done tremendous work. Some of you from FDNY may recognize the name. She's worked with Gene in the CAB program for that. We are also very excited for Jenny Solomon. She's going to be joining our team as the new 18, and she's going to be working on primarily the Merrill area. Jenny is not new, hopefully, to anybody in the room or to the Bureau itself. She's got a good working foundation. She's been working with us through the OASIS grant, traveling around the state, providing the mental health educations that we've all become familiar with. Her start date will be tomorrow as well. So welcome to Jenny. We're very excited to have her as part of the team. Sponsor renewals are out. They'll be due back to us by June 30th. There's 60 sponsors across the state that should have received it, 30 short, 30 long. If you feel that there's perhaps maybe a mix-up, you didn't receive one and you thought you were due or whatever, feel free to come talk to us. We can take a look at it and see if there was a mix-up on our end. But we've streamlined this process using Drupal. It's all going to go through there. It's a lot easier than it used to be, and we're certainly looking forward to getting that wrapped up for everybody. Processing, we're doing pretty well on processing times for all of our particular forms, items, course numbers, rosters. Everything is pretty much within the same business week that you've sent it to us. The only thing on the exception with that would be CME processing, which is sitting about 6 weeks, and that's pretty on average at where it's going to sit. In fact, we're starting to see a pickup in volume for CME now that we're starting to see the COVID extensions expire. We may see the processing times be affected for that, but we'll do our best, and we're working on ways internally to adjust that. Please, to help with the process, we always encourage individuals to, triple check your submission before it gets sent in on your signatures and whatnot. And also, if you ever call for help, please have your submission number available so that we can look it up readily. We're also working on ways to change up the submissions of how we process them and how they're sent into us. So please be on the lookout for changes to that as we also adjust, hopefully, to the new regulations and they come through. We'll have guidance coming on that shortly, but we're looking for ways to make it not only easier administratively in-house, but easier for staff, for leadership in the agencies as well. Continue to try and encourage networking between our core sponsors and our core sponsor administrators using Boardable, and trying to get opportunities for people to share ideas, bring up questions. So that's something we've been doing for the last 3-4 months now, and we're going to continue. If you don't have access to that, we're more than happy to work with you as well. 2 new policies hit the website late last night. There's a new policy up for the instructors and the process for becoming an instructor, both CLI and CIC. It addresses a lot of the major concerns and questions that we have fielded over the last year or so, addresses advanced standing, reciprocity, and fills in a lot of the blanks that perhaps the last policy had left that's caused confusion and delays. So we hope we solve those issues there. Much appreciated to the team of volunteers from the Training Ed Committee TAG that worked on that. Their work was impeccable, and I think we have a good product there. There is also a hazmat guidance for educational courses available on the website, a new one. The NIMS ICS course was no longer applicable to what we do, so that has been adjusted and provided alternative options online, but also given core sponsors an avenue to conduct that course in-house with a subject matter expert if that works best for them. Continue to work with PSI in improving the process and the results and the experience for our test takers. We do have a end of exam post-survey that they do take. It's about 12 questions that address scheduling, site conditions, staff interactions, the process in which they sign up. And just some good news on this, just to give a perspective, while we do have a lot of times that we hear about the problems and while we work with those and take them seriously, we should also acknowledge that so far in 2024, the overall experience has been rated at about 97% of test takers at excellent or good. And that's compared to 2023, where it was at 97.3% of excellent or good. So we've been pretty standard with that and working with PSI. So there was a good number of people who are experiencing positive experiences with PSI in the whole process, and we'll continue to improve on those who don't, the other 3%. One of those improvements that we're working with them on is a mobile testing opportunity in which we can serve areas that are more remote and don't have access to a testing site within an hour's drive or so, and also high volume areas. PSI comes in, they set up a testing site at a predetermined spot, 2-3 days or more, depending on what we need. And basically they test students, and then when they're done, they pack up and they leave. This is not going to be available for every course sponsor. Again, it's going to be based on distance to testing sites and also volume. We're testing one out in the Finger Lakes region next month, so hopefully we'll have good positive results from that we can grow on and expand. We also recently put out a survey to the paramedic program directors and core sponsor administrators looking for information on the programs that are out there, highlights what they're proud of, what their attrition rates are, marketing materials that they use, best contact for students. Our end result goal was to place on our website a document that students can, or prospective students, can find out what their options are when it comes to gaining paramedic certification in New York State. And that way, again, we're going to compile all this, put a document together, post it up, and somebody can look up all the basic information, maybe come up with 2 or 3 good options for them, and then reach out to those programs using the information that we've put together. So we're pretty stoked about that. We have all the responses back in, so we appreciate the response from the paramedic directors. And we're going to be spending the next couple of weeks putting that data together for the website itself. And just lastly, before I'm done, real quick reminder on 3 pilot programs that are available out there for alternative funding for students looking to gain their basic certifications and get engaged in our profession, either in a career, paid, or volunteer. Back in September 23, there was a policy statement 2308B that was posted. There are 3 education funding alternatives there, other than the traditional join an agency and get a verification and membership signed up. So we encourage people to take a look at the ones that are relating to academy program, community interns, and the retention and recruitment program. We believe that these are excellent opportunities for funding that are not utilized nearly enough and are overlooked. We spend a lot of time talking about them on our monthly calls. We spend a lot of time talking about them with instructors when we go out and meet people. And we hope to continue to spread the word of this opportunity so that students and agency leaders know that they're available. So, Mr. Director, I'm set.
Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Any questions for either of those? All right. Couple more things. On the administration side, the licensure RFP is out. Sorry, the licensure RFP is out. That's really exciting for us. That's going to help us in moving things into future and maybe to get less duplicate card requests for those who lose their card, wash their card, or any other thing that happens to their card. They'll be able to log on and get their card. But also just with processing things, submitting your paperwork, and streamlining a lot of things. Probably a good 12 to 24 months out before you'll see it rolled out. But we're excited to be moving in that process. Our current system has done us well for many years, but time for something new. In regards to data and informatics, we're moving to 3.5. We've had a pretty good transition so far of the things that have happened. The larger vendors are probably going to start to move in June of 2024, and that should all be completed by July 1st. We do have some staff changes in data and informatics, some new people to positions. We have a new EMS data coordinator position that is in the recruitment side right now. So a lot of good things on that. At the September meeting, hoping to have some more information for you about biospatial, as well as be a little bit further along in rolling it out to counties and some different agencies, as well as the program agencies. So hoping to get those things in place. And thank you to our data unit for all the work that they're doing with Dave and his unit on quality assurance and being able to get the data there. We also did have a conversation at Med Standards and then again at CMAC. At CMAC regarding data and informatics and streamlining EPCR paperwork and things of that nature. And is there a need for a more detailed regulatory set related to this to help with that streamline of data and getting data to where it needs to be at the right time with the right person? The trauma side of things, we have our next meeting here on May 29th. We invite you all to join us, so please do on that one. EMS for children, I don't know if Amy is here. She's right there, so we'll circle back to her. Elle, why don't you just go now?
Thank you. So a few things, and I'll start with Coverdell just because it will be quicker. The Coverdell grant program is funded by the CDC, and they recently released the new notice of funding opportunity, I believe, for the next 5 years. Not a lot has changed in the EMS realm, just continuing to do the work that we've been doing, focusing on pre-notification and other stroke elements, education for EMS providers, working with both EMS and hospitals to improve communication for the better outcome for stroke patients. So we'll continue to do that work in our priority areas, and also to be a resource for EMS agencies and regions that would like our support. So for EMS for children, there's a few things going on. It is that time of year again for me to continually say, please complete your survey. So this year, we are a few months late on the EMS for Children survey because they have upgraded it. So previously, the questions were just related to performance measures on the grant and were those activities being completed. So do you have a PET coordinator and what kind of education do you have at your agency? Now it's a little more comprehensive, so still focusing on pediatric emergency care coordinators, but how are you using them? Do they do education? Do they bring education in? general understanding of how the PECs are being used, not just in New York State, but across the country. Same for education, not just are you doing education, are you doing skills, is that just lecture, but what kind of education are you doing? Are there card classes that you're completing? Are these required, are they not required? Is this just suggested education? So a variety of questions related to that, as well as just a general understanding of how many kids are you seeing. I can look at state data and say, of the 4 million calls around the state, about 5% of them are for children, but agency-wide, right, like New York City, Fidney, is doing a different volume than Mark Deaver's agency in the North Country. So sometimes that does make a difference related to preparedness and how much education you need to do for your providers. So looking at those things, the survey can be found at emspedsready.org. And it works the same as before. You find your county, you find your agency. If it is grayed out, and this has also been an update, it just doesn't delete, it doesn't remove it. You can see that it's grayed out. That means it's been completed. Also, I did a tutorial on the Vital Signs Academy a few weeks ago. It is on the Vital Signs Academy, all edited, ready to go. So if you want to look through it, if you have questions about any of the questions, how to complete the survey, etc., you can review that, or you can always message myself or Allison Lynch. She will be helping me with the Pediatric Emergency Care Coordinator programming and the pre-hospital programming for EMS for children. She left because she has to move out of her dorm. So very important things, but she is here to help, as am I. Another part for EMS for children that has been going on for quite a while, we received about a year and a half ago a rural health grant for education for pediatrics. And so one of the projects that we did with that grant is to create a pediatric emergency care coordinator kit. Sadly, right, it wasn't everything we wanted, it was a little bit of what we wanted. So we have a bag for each agency that's already signed up, and that's about 250 across the state. And then we have a remainder of bags for new agencies that signed up. So when they see all this cool stuff, they go, I want that thing. Okay, well, you have to sign up. That's how you get this thing. So it has some items in it. Our pediatric assessment triangle document that the EMS for Children Advisory Committee developed and maintains. This was updated 2 months ago, so if you got one last year, you're out of date. Please submit your order through our website, and we'll get that out to you. And then also a few months ago, and also created by our EMS for Children Advisory Committee in conjunction with the EMS for Children Innovation and Improvement Center, and very cool looking, much thanks to our public affairs group, are tips on how to de-escalate children. So both of these will be in there. You can also order both of these online, so you can have one for all of your ambulances. Also in the kit will be some medical communication cards. At EMSC, all the program managers talk to each other, and we share tools that are really impactful. So much thanks to Florida, to Michigan, and I believe Kansas before them. We've been passing them around. So they're communication cards. They're in English and Spanish. They have pictures for nonverbal patients or kids that don't speak yet. And then also there is a dry erase section, and we branded you a marker so that you could write questions and things on the back if you need to, and then erase it. Also in the kit, some tools. If you were here earlier, you heard Dr. Dorset talk about different tools for taking care of patients, particularly children. So there's a pedia tape and a hand-heavy tape, and then a PD wheel. Of course, our badge buddies, which you can also order online. There will be 25 in the kit, so one for everybody at your agency. If you need more, again, please order them. And then some STEM toys, because I don't know any kid that ever wants to be in the ambulance. Really, I don't know any adult that ever wants to be in the ambulance. So if somebody needs something to fiddle with, they are washable if you could get them back. But I bought them on Amazon for our kits, so if you need more, I'm happy to provide the resources on where I found everything. And it comes in a very nice bag. So it's a dry bag so that it will withstand your ambulance and hopefully your providers. And again, if you need resources on where any of this stuff came from, I'm happy to help. And then I think that's all the things, because Ryan covered some of our staffing.
Perfect. So I'll whiz through the rest. Vital Signs coming up in October, Rochester. So please come join us there. A lot of great things going on. Reminder, Innovation Awards. So if you go to EMS Forms page, drop down Vital Signs, Innovation Awards, anybody you can either self-nominate your agency or person, you can nominate somebody else. There's a number of different categories, education, operations, different things for Innovation Awards. We're looking to see the innovation around the state and to recognize them. So please submit some of your Innovation Awards. I know we got this year more than we got from last year already. That closes on July 1st. EMS Memorial, so sad that we're not able to do EMS Memorial during EMS Week this year, but we are going through an expansion, and it wasn't able to ensure that it would be there in time, and so we wanted to make sure we had the appropriate time to tell people, so we have moved it to September. The date is Thursday, September 19th. That is now set. That is the day after the September SEMSCO CMAC meeting. So come up, join us for CMAC SEMSCO, and then join us the next day for the memorial. There are 8 honorees that are going on this year, and so please, join us for that. All the flyers will be updated and up on the website too shortly if anybody is looking for that information. September council meetings is in Saratoga in September. And just a reminder on that one, a little bit different than the past. And the 2025 schedule we are working on now, hopefully will be released by the end of June. In the emergency preparedness side of things, thank you for everybody who helped out with the eclipse, including the 10 or so agencies that helped, bring about 20 ambulances to designate areas around the state for the eclipse through the state EMS mobilization plan, state EMS task force. So really excited to, see that in motion and have that all come together. Last but not least, in just some final things, regulations. We are seeing more. We saw statutory change last year for the first time in 20 plus years. We're seeing regulatory changes happen, which bring a lot of work for the Bureau, but that's okay because it's moving things in the right direction. Education regs, we're really excited for. Hopefully will come up for a vote today. That's the final step for the education regs. It will take about 4 to 6 weeks after that for them to go into place. Once they go into place, there will be some policy documents and things to talk about some of those changes. In addition to that, on reg packets, so we have the equipment standards, which is moving through the process. We've started to get questions on it. That's a good sign. It means it's moving. We have community paramedicine regs that will be working on draft regulations for the new statute that was created last year. We'll be using the innovation committees, some of their best practices and information that came up there. So thank you to the innovations committee on the work on that one. The system and agency performance standards have 2 standards that are going into regulation. So thank you to everybody who worked on that group. And the blood regulations are moving forward. So lots of things going. I know that Mark Devers is waiting for some work on 0606 and working on moving that into another, regulations and things like that. So a lot of really good progress. So that brings me to Part V. So Part V was in the budget for this year. Unfortunately, didn't make it into the budget. But people, have asked, well, is that disappointing? It's sad to see. But the fact that we're talking so much about EMS, the fact that we're moving things forward so much, and the fact that there's not only was it in the budget, but now we're seeing many things also in the legislative period. So there's another 16 days that are left in the legislative period. So we'll see, kind of what comes through on that one. A lot of different movement on a number of different EMS things. So again, moving us forward. Really excited about that side. Thank you to Dr. Isaacs for the invite down to the Special Operations Conferences that past weekend. That was excellent. If you get the opportunity in the future to join for that one, really outstanding speakers, people from around the states as well as internationally, and an amazing location to really just kind of see what the opportunities are to learn in a simulated scenario, but very realistic scenarios. So excellent opportunity for that one. On the public health fellows, so this past year and a half, we have been blessed with 2 public health fellows. One has become a permanent staff member, and the second, Alex Blue, who's sitting in the front of the room right now, is finishing his public health fellow time with us and off to medical school at Upstate in August. So congrats, Alex, on that one again. For those of you that are wondering, he's actually not leaving us. He's just going on leave for the next 8 years, and he'll be returning as an associate state EMS medical director. Dr. Doynow, don't worry, 8 years should give us enough time to get us through the hiring process. So we're excited about that, but that also, we're really excited we got permission for 2 new public health fellows. So if you know someone who is graduating in May or is looking for the next opportunity in life, it is a 12 to 18 month fellowship program, amazing opportunity. We have one that's opening up for policy. We have another one that's opening up for data and informatics. This also might be the opportunity for an EMT or a paramedic who, wants to take look at another side of EMS and come be a fellow for a year and then go back to the clinical side of things and just gain another opportunity. So please share that one out there. That will be going forth pretty quickly. Last but not least, I would like to take a moment. Phil Malini, who was one of our program agency directors for 48 years, and unfortunately passed away last week. So I would like to take a moment of silence in memory of Phil. Thank you. On a positive note, or on a more uplifting note, you had mentioned it before, I don't know if Marie has come back in, but Marie Diglio, who's also been with the program agency for 32 years, did she come back in the room? Nope.
Yeah, I'm afraid she left a little early.
She 32 years and she exited early. Okay. Someone could relay that to her. But thank you to Marie, and even though she's not here, I think a round of applause for Marie absolutely is. And then I wanted to pass to Terry from Nicevera, who wanted to say something else.
On behalf of the New York State Volunteer Ambulance and Rescue Association, the officers and the directors and the members of Nicevera would like to congratulate Valerie Ozga on her retirement. 27 years in the Bureau, 23 years with Vital Signs. We'd like to thank you very much for your time and dedication to the Emergency Medical Services family.
So while they take a picture for a second, I will echo that. She left out the one number of 37 years in state service. So Val has been an incredible asset to our team in many different things, and the executive secretary for our state council for many, many years. She'll be greatly missed. And like I said in the last time, although she's leaving us, I still plan on texting her regularly to try and figure out how she did certain things, and there'll be a big gap. But thank you, Val.
Any questions for the director? If not, Dr. Doynow, are you going to do Dr. Rabrich's report also?
Yes, we'll do CMAC and med standards together.
You are very fortunate to have a quorum.
Yes, we were. Hard work by the department to make that happen. So, Teresa, if we can get the first, second, and motion up on the screen from CMAC. The first, second, and motion was the New York City Rescue Task Force Protocol update. I don't know if Dr. Isaac has anything to add to that, but that's the motion. You don't have that one up there? Well, basically, it was an update of their protocols. Dr. Isaac, if you want to mention.
Sure, on the Rescue Task Force protocols, sure. There were just some minor language changes. And in addition, there was an extended care section that was put in there for those patients that can't be rapidly extricated from the warm zone. And just some new additional equipment as well.
So that comes forward as a seconded motion from CMAC. I would entertain any discussion on it. And if there is none, a roll call vote, please.
Steve Cady.
Steve Cady, yes.
Scott Clark,
Scott Clark, yes.
Dr. Krupe,
Dr. Krippy, yes.
Mark Devers,
Mark Devers, yes.
Don Duval,
Yes.
Mickey Fornes,
Mickey Fornes, yes.
Carl Gandolfo,
Carl Gandolfo, yes.
Greg Gill,
Gill, yes.
Jason Haig,
Haig, yes.
Teresa Hamilton,
Teresa Hamilton, yes.
Don Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Dr. Isaacs,
Isaacs, yes.
Al Kim,
Al Kim, yes.
Steve Kroll,
Steve Kroll, yes.
Andrew Knoll,
Andrew Knoll, yes.
Al Lewis,
Al Lewis, yes.
Mike McAvoy,
Mike McAvoy, yes.
Elizabeth McGowan,
Elizabeth McGowan, yes.
Carla Simpson,
Carla Simpson, yes.
Christopher Smith,
Christopher Smith, yes.
Chad Smith,
Chad Smith, yes.
and Dave Violante.
Violante, yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next second motion is basically, if we can put that one up. I think I think you have that one. So if you have binoculars, you probably can read that. But I'll read it for you, since my vision is really good from here. And it's also on my iPhone. The CMAC reaffirms that naloxone remain the only opioid antagonist for use by public safety personnel approved by the commissioner, and further that nalmalfen, which is long-acting, be removed from the alternative medication formulary. That was a second motion from CMAC.
Any discussion on this motion? And I guess one point of clarification would be, how rapidly do you want the Bureau to remove that from the alternative medicine formulary, which appears in the newly published collaborative protocols?
I would say immediately.
Okay. Any discussion, Carl?
Does that need to be added into the motion that it's removed immediately?
I think that's a procedural thing.
Yeah.
The Bureau
Yeah.
just
Okay.
had inquiring minds wanted to know. All right, if there's no other discussion, could we have a roll call vote?
Steve Cady,
Steve Katie, yes.
Scott
Oop,
Clark,
Can I pause there for a second? I don't know what the procedural portion of this one is, but it might be best actually to add in the word, or if someone's willing to amend the motion to add in the immediate change of the removal.
We can't amend a seconded motion. We can defeat it and have a new motion made.
Can you take a friendly amendment on it?
You can't friendly amend.
Where's
a seconded motion.
Yadidaya when you need him?
Why don't we proceed with the
Yeah.
roll
All
call?
right, yeah, let's proceed.
We'll handle.
Yeah, we'll handle it administratively.
Scott Clark,
Scott Clark, yes.
Dr. Krupe,
Dr. Krippy, yes.
Mark Devers,
Yes.
Don Duval,
Yes.
Mickey Fornes,
Mickey Fornes, yes.
Carl Gandolfo,
Carl Gandolfo, yes.
Gregory Gill,
Gill, yes.
Jason Haig,
Haig, yes.
Teresa Hamilton,
Teresa Hamilton, yes.
Don Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Dr. Isaacs,
Isaacs, yes.
Al Kim,
Al Kim, yes.
Steve Kroll,
Kroll, yes.
Andrew Knoll,
Andrew Knoll, yes.
Al Lewis,
Al Lewis, yes.
Mike McAvoy,
McAvoy, yes.
Elizabeth McGowan,
McGowan, yes.
Carla Simpson,
Carla Simpson, yes.
Christopher Smith,
Chris Smith, yes.
Chad Smith,
Chad Smith, yes.
and Dave Violante.
Violante, yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
That's the end of the second motions. The only other thing to mention, and I don't want to waste everybody's time, I know everybody was pretty much here. We had two nice presentations, one by Dr. Dorsett, and the other first responder mental health and initiatives by Katie. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any questions for CMAC or Med Standards? If not, we'll move to Don Hudson for training and education.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. So Training and Ed met virtually over the fall, winter, spring. Since our last meetings, we met yesterday. So few items of note. First of all, some new PSI numbers for 2023 were produced by the department. Approximately 10,000 exams were issued last year, so thank you to Chief Chesney and his group for coordinating that and streamlining that, and I know it's a work in progress as always. We're going to move some items off our agenda, mainly the two policies that were mentioned, one regarding hazmat education for our EMS providers as well as the instructors. Look for those on the Bureau's website. We continue to work with the National EMS Management Association, looking to roll out a field training officer program statewide. It's still in the discussion phases, but look for that in the hopefully coming future. EMTCC sunset, so thank you to our partners at Northwell Health for providing the current status of the bridge program, which is as intended, setting a deadline for EMTCC sunset. Probably motivated some people to join the bridge. So the current bridge program has 63 participants in the new cohort statewide. That's a dramatic increase, as was intended from previous bridges. So that's good news there. Possibly the better news is that increased enrollment has codified that there will continue to be 2 bridge programs each year. Additionally, we'll be moving the critical care transport project, which is looking for some sort of statewide standard for critical care paramedic certification for interfacility transport, moving that to the Bureau as was enumerated in the white paper regarding a much broader group, including hospital partners and whatnot, to continue to work on that. Lastly, some additional numbers produced by the Bureau from the certification database. So for 2023, if you want to write these down, or they're onboardable, but we can publish them also. For 2023, the total number of EMTs in New York State, 64,642. Current AEMTs in New York State, 878. Current EMTCCs, 1,026. And current paramedics, 11,087, for a total of 89,299 providers statewide. That's a 13,381 provider increase since before COVID in 2019. As far as probably some more interesting information was how are people recertifying? So the high majority, the strikingly high majority of providers statewide at all levels are currently recertifying by CME. So I guess that's good news for recruitment and retention. If you need help validating and or making your CME program real, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or the Bureau for support in that endeavor. Lastly, for 2023, we produced the following at the different levels for brand new providers. So 6,141 EMTs, 125 AEMTs, and 623 paramedics. Like the previous numbers in comparison to pre-COVID 2019, that's down 871 providers overall, new providers for the year. So some good news, some bad news. We're always looking for the right information so we can try and make good decisions. So I leave it at that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions for T&E? If not, we'll move along to Steve Kroll and Finance.
Thank you, Mike. Finance Committee has been working on a number of things, both since the last meeting and here on site. First thing I'll update you on is the production status report on the 2023 workforce report. Where are the emergency responders? The report has been completely formatted with charts, and thanks to the Bureau EMS staff, and is now with the Public Affairs Group to produce it from our raw material into a published document. Hopefully we'll see it at our next meeting, if not sooner, as a PDF. It is, the Department of Health has a Public Affairs Group that does the formatting work. The raw document was in the boardable for this meeting, so if anybody still, the data has been approved, is validated. We're just really in the production phase right now, so if you want to use the report, it was in Boardable. If anyone wants a PDF of the draft, you can see me and I'll give it to you, but we're just waiting to get the final copy finished up. Ryan joined the committee yesterday to talk about the spending out of the aid to localities budget for New York State, which is the statutory requirement of the SEMSCO is to forward to the Commissioner of Health our recommendations for what we spend on training and education, as well as for program agencies and REMSCOs each year. Ryan updated us on the spending for the fiscal year that ended on March 31, 2024, which will play into the recommendations we're going to vote on today or bring forward as a seconded motion for next year. The budget is $10.57 million, and that $10.57 million, again, funds training and education and funds the REMSCOs and the program agencies. We spent, even though I think numbers are not 100% final because there's still some bills from the month of March that maybe get paid in the month of May, but we spent $8.7 million in total. Now, that is up from spending $7.6 million in the year before. And if you remember from our conversations here, we've been making a concerted effort to make better use of the monies that we have and to invest in training. And so Drew described the pilot programs that are going on with the academy-style classes and the EMS Journey Careers program. We're still not using those programs to the fullest extent. Every course sponsor is eligible to run an academy class, and I think we have a couple of them going on right now. The plan is to focus on doing academy classes twice a year. So the summer classes will be happening in the next few weeks, and then the next group of the academy classes will be in January. So for everybody that's here representing a program agency or a course sponsor, you have the ability to get a fully paid for program. Get ready to do it if you want to do it in the January term. You'll get paid for all the students that complete the course, as opposed to now only getting the reimbursement for the tuition afterwards. We're trying to do everything we can to use all of the monies that are in the budget. The reason is, for many years, we've been asking for more money for training and education. Well, it's hard to ask for more money for training and education when you don't use it all. So we've been trying to emphasize using the funds. Similarly, some of the REMSCOs and some of the program agencies are not spending their entire set of money. So I know we have a lot of program agency representatives here. It's important for you to work within the confines of your contracts and spend the money that you've been contracted with for us to be able to ask you for us to be able to go forward and ask for more monies for the program agencies. The program agencies spent $3.5 of $3.8 million that was allocated to them. Some of the agencies haven't sent in their bills. We are ending the contract cycle for the program agencies, and over this summer, the Bureau of EMS will be working with the program agencies on their next round of contracts. And the director has told us that there is money allocated for, in the next round of 5-year contracts, increases. A larger increase in the first year and then subsequent increases in each of the years. He can't give us the amounts right now because these are in the state contracting process, but if you're affiliated with one of the program agencies, as soon as you get your draft contract in the next couple of weeks from the Bureau of EMS, the amount of money that will be in there. The program agencies have worked hard to justify getting those increases, and so they should be in there. In addition, there's some other funds that will be perhaps attached to that, including recruitment and retention funds coming out of the recruitment and retention program that was in the budget from 2 years ago. Those funds are now being released. And in addition, at the last meeting, we voted as a SEMSCO to ask the Department of Health to fund the training of paramedics to replace paramedics that may be hired by the state to work as part of the state EMS task force. Funding will be released in this program agency cycle for the next 2 or 3 years for each region to be able to hire, for each region to be able to fund training for 2 paramedics. So that's 36 paramedics a year for the next 2 or 3 years. and that will be money that will be allocated. Ryan's team is working on the rules for exactly what the parameters for spending that money will be, but the intent is to give scholarships or loan repayment or whatever the right answer is to a relatively equal number of paramedics that will be hired by the state to work in the state EMS task force. So that will be, so first, thank you to everybody here that worked to make that happen, and I'm glad to see that that is going to be happening. And again, the more ideas we come up with that are innovative to spend the training money, the closer we'll be to spending it all so we can look for increasing it going forward. So with that backdrop, there's a seconded motion, and I'll ask Teresa if you can put the first one up. And that is, we are to advance our funding level to the Commissioner of Health for the state fiscal year that begins on April 1, 2025. I'd like to ask the SEMSCO to pass the motion today and allow the Finance Committee to work on filling in the language in a narrative report on the specifics of spending this money over the summer. And the reason I'm asking for that is it's due to the Commissioner of Health before our next meeting in order to make it into the state budget cycle. So the motion is the Finance Subcommittee recommends that the SEMS go forward to the Commissioner of Health a funding level of $10.57 million plus such funds necessary to cover program agency and REMSCO funding increases incorporated in the new contracts for the contract period beginning during the summer of '24 for the aid to localities, which is EMS education, program agencies, and REMSCO's budget for the state fiscal year of April 1, 2025 through March 31, 2026.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Is everyone clear on what they're asking? This is a fiduciary responsibility of this body to approve this. We do not know currently what the increases in these program agencies and other budget items will be for the upcoming fiscal year, so we're asking to use the same request that we put in the previous year plus whatever those increases turn out to be, and we'll let the Finance Committee plug those in so that the budget can be submitted on time. Any discussion? If not, could we take a roll call vote?
Steve Cady,
Steve Cady, yes.
Scott Clark,
Scott Clark, yes.
Dr. Krupe,
Dr. Krupe, yes.
Mark Devers,
Yes.
Don Duval,
Yes.
Mickey Fornes,
Mickey Fornes, yes.
Carl Gandolfo,
Carl Gandolfo, yes.
Gregory Gill,
Gill, yes.
Jason Haig,
Haig, yes.
Teresa Hamilton,
Teresa Hamilton, yes.
Don Hudson,
Don Hudson abstain.
Dr. Isaacs,
Isaacs, yes.
Al Kim,
Al Kim, yes.
Steve Kroll,
Kroll, yes.
Andrew Knoll,
Andrew Knoll, yes.
Al Lewis,
Al Lewis, yes.
Mike McAvoy,
McAvoy, yes.
Elizabeth McGowan,
McGowan, yes.
Carla Simpson,
Kyla Simpson, yes.
Christopher Smith,
Chris Smith, yes.
Chad Smith,
Chad Smith, yes.
and David Violante.
Violante, yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
So the goal of the Finance Subcommittee is to try and help us maximize the resources that we have. So our next two motions are going to be about how we're going to spend the money. And the Finance Subcommittee is going to continue to come up with ideas, working with the program agencies, working with core sponsors, working with SEMSCO. We essentially want to spend every penny of that $10.57 million because we have, that's what's been given to us. And so if we return money to the state budget and then we complain we're not doing enough training, well, you know, that's on us. It's not on the state not providing us enough money. So we have two motions that we're going to talk about, and Teresa, if you'll put up the second motion. If the Finance Committee recommends that the SEMSCO endorse a one-year pilot program for core sponsor reimbursement under policy statement 223-09.b to be authorized upon successful completion of the course. Data should be collected during the pilot program and reported to SEMSCO on the percentage of students completing the course that receive New York State certification for comparison to the current percentage of students completing the course that receive New York State certification. Now let me explain what that means. Today, course sponsors file for reimbursement after a student completes their course and gets certified. Course sponsors have very little control over when the student takes the exam because we've moved away from everybody in a room on the last day of the course taking the state exam to people being able to take it over a longer time period on their own at a testing center. That has led to some course sponsors not being able to recover their funds that they have spent. We have asked over time to allow the funds to be paid to course sponsors when the student finishes their final exam and gets a passing grade in the EMT class, not when they get certified. And one of the questions that has been asked over time has been, what if the student, what if we're not providing an incentive to the student to finish the course and get certified? And what if we're not providing an incentive to the instructor to make sure the students get certified by paying them early? There's been a debate about that, and some of us feel that that's not a material concern, and others feel it is a material concern. So somebody proposed this yesterday, and I think it's an awesome compromise. And we're going to do a one-year pilot program where a course sponsor can file for reimbursement after the student passes the course. We're going to compare the percentage of students that get certified in that year to the percentage of students that were getting certified prior to that year when course reimbursement was not given until after the student was certified. This will improve cash flow for course sponsors and will give us data to find out if this is a good permanent change or whether it does change incentives. One of the things that Chairman McAvoy mentioned during the discussion is how important it is to give the incentive to our instructors to get people to pass that class. So we think that this is a good policy change, and we bring it forward to do this one-year pilot. We did not set a starting date because we think the Bureau of EMS probably needs to pick whether, is it on a calendar year or what cycle it's on. But the goal would be as soon as practical, we begin this pilot, and that course sponsors can file for reimbursement as soon as the student gets a passing grade in the course.
Any discussion on this motion? This is not statutory because this body can't set these rates. They can recommend it to the Bureau, and then the Bureau takes action on it. So I would request that anyone in favor signify by raising their hand. And anyone opposed, the same sign. And any abstentions? So 1 opposed and 1 abstention, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next motion has to do with the CARES registry. And the Finance Subcommittee is recommending that SEMSCO endorse spending up to $150,000 per year in Bureau of EMS aid to localities monies to fully fund New York State participation in the CARES Cardiac Arrest Registry for each of the next 3 months. The CARES Cardiac Arrest Registry is a place where the care given and the outcomes on a cardiac arrest can be brought in by agency, and then an agency can receive back comparative data on how they compare to the collective group of agencies. And so this is a quality improvement tool. It has started out being used by a smaller group of agencies. It's growing. The proposal was brought forward that the Bureau of EMS take on this project for all EMS agencies in New York State, and that every agency can put their data into this, get that data processed, get back comparative reporting. This is a proposal to allow us to take $150,000 a year of our non-spent funds, and it would be for each of the next 3 years, so the Bureau can begin working on this quality improvement tool on behalf of all of us. Again, we're not asking for new appropriation of funds. We're asking to use some of the unspent funds to be appropriated for this. Again, with our goal of quality improvement, but also let's use all the resources that have been given to us for the purpose of aid to localities. So we bring it forward as a seconded motion.
Any discussion on this motion? If not, this is quasi-statutory, so I would err in favor of doing a roll call vote.
Steve Cady,
Steve Katie, yes.
Scott Clark,
Scott Clark, yes.
Dr. Krupe,
Dr. Krupe, yes.
Mark Devers,
Yes.
Don Duval,
Yes.
Mickey Fornes,
Mickey Fornes, yes.
Carl Gandolfo,
Carl Gandolfo, yes.
Gregory Gill,
Gill, yes.
Jason Haig,
Haig, yes.
Teresa Hamilton,
Teresa Hamilton, yes.
Don Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Dr. Isaacs,
Isaacs, yes.
Al Kim,
Al Kim, yes.
Steve Kroll,
Kroll, yes.
Andrew Knoll,
Andrew Knoll, yes.
Al Lewis,
Al Lewis, yes.
Mike McAvoy,
McAvoy, yes.
Elizabeth McGowan,
McGowan, yes.
Carla Simpson,
Carla Simpson, yes.
Christopher Smith,
Chris Smith, yes.
Chad Smith,
Chad Smith, yes.
and Dave Violante.
Violante, yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. I believe your committee has reached the cap of 3 motions.
That is correct. We had a fourth topic but we were capped, so I just want to tell you briefly about this item that we are going to be working on over the summer, and we will bring it forward as a motion at the September meeting. I talked about that we have the Bureau able to use funding to provide paramedic training for a number of paramedics on scholarship or loan forgiveness type basis going forward because the zone project and the EMS task force is hiring paramedics. With us having this money that we're not spending on training, we are going to bring forward a proposal, and Education and Finance will be working together on this for a program called the Paramedics Across New York program. And the idea of the Paramedics Across New York is going to be to take the work that Ryan has been able to do administratively for the next 2 or 3 years and make it something permanent, so that we permanently spend monies on scholarships or loan forgiveness for the training of paramedics in exchange for a commitment to serve. New York already has a Doctors Across New York program where a physician can get loan repayment to help pay off their medical school loans if they agree to serve for a defined period of time in an underserved community in New York State. Now we have a Nurses Across New York program that was passed by the legislature last year and I don't believe it is fully implemented yet, but the implementation is ongoing. That will be similar. People that will commit to a time served will be able to receive payment or loan repayment or scholarships. We want to take that the next step forward, which is Paramedics Across New York, which is create a funding pool that will allow people to apply and receive their paramedic training paid for in exchange for a commitment to service. So the Education Committee and the Finance Subcommittee will work on the specifics of this. For example, how big will the scholarships be? Will it be $10,000? Will it be $15,000? What will the commitment to serve be? For example, for perhaps a career paramedic, it might be a 2-year commitment, but someone who's working half-time, so it could be a volunteer paramedic, it would be 4 years. So we will bring forward a developed proposal in September. We are thinking about a number of roughly 100 paramedics in the first year, 125 in the second year, 150 in the third year. This can grow over time based on funds available, but the first step is defining the program, coming up with its parameters, bringing it forward as legislation, and we would bring it forward and present it as an idea to the Commissioner on Health, and perhaps it might get included in a future version of budget legislation. So no action to be taken on this today, but if anyone has any ideas and thoughts about this, please share it with either myself or Don Hudson. A couple of the core sponsors were here yesterday, and they jumped up and volunteered to give input into this. But if we're truly in a workforce emergency, trying to find new ways to get people trained and working, and them having a responsibility back to serve, whether it be as career or a volunteer, would be a good way for us to continue moving forward on workforce. And at that, I'd be glad to take any comments on that one proposal, and then I'm finished with my report.
Any comments or questions for Finance? Don?
So as Training and Ed works collaboratively with Finance, we've been doing great work together. One of the other things in support of not only the Bridge program, but also Paramedic Original, is to raise the current $1,500 funding available to reimbursement for paramedic original and bridge to match the current cost of the bridge at $2,200. So we'll work on that with the Bureau as it's a policy change and try and keep that as cost neutral as possible.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say thank you to Steve Kroll and the entire Finance Committee. I feel like in the past couple of years, in the beginning, especially at 8 a.m., there weren't as many people showing up at the Finance Committee meeting because they were like, well, what are we doing? What are we getting done? And Steve, under your leadership, I think that has completely done a 180 as you've now hit your motion cap at the SEMSCO. So I think this says a lot, and I think it, just reflects on how much work is getting done in every subcommittee, and that they all do build on one another. And I think if you just listened yesterday to how much crosswork was coming about of needing to be a tag rather than just a working group and a committee, because one thing affects the other so much, and this is a perfect example of that. So thank you for all your work that your committee's been doing.
Thank you. If I could just ask you a quick question on the point that Don just raised. Do we need to take any other action on the raising of the bridge to 2,200, or is this something now administratively you're able to work on? I know with the increase in number of students in the bridge, I think there's probably a lot of interest in this happening.
It is up to the Bureau to do, but if you'd like to make a motion to that effect, it may add some oomph to the request.
I believe I've hit my motion cap, so somebody else would have
I would
to make that
entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the Finance Committee and Education Committee jointly recommend to the SEMSCO to raise the current $1,500 paramedic original reimbursement to match $2,200.
Teresa Hamilton will second that motion.
So a motion by Don Hudson, seconded by Terry Hamilton. Any discussion on the motion?
Just clarification, is that paramedic original and the bridge program, or is that just one?
They're currently both together. The policy doesn't discriminate between one or the other. But yes, we want both. Currently, they're tucked in under paramedic original.
All right. This is not statutory. It's a recommendation to the Bureau. So any discussion on that motion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously. Is that any other items in your report, Steve?
No, thank you very much.
All right. Clever way to sneak a fourth motion in there. We'll move over to Mark Devers and Systems.
There's no CON actions, so you're welcome. Basically, we have a proposal as kind of a draft or a starting point for definition of need that makes it measurable. We do realize there was a little bit of conversation about the fact that it is 911 only, and we do understand that as a committee, and we'll be looking at how do we incorporate the other portions of the industry and the other things that we're doing into a total definition of need. I believe in discussions this afternoon, the chairman is going to, actually I think it's onboardable now, but he's also going to be sending it out to the REMSCOs and the program agencies for some comment. Please provide some comment at least on the numbers and the percentages or the numbers that we're using, so we can have a measurable definition of need and hopefully have way less CON actions because of it. And that is the end of my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Systems? And I would, I am going to circulate that widely. I would encourage you to do the same. 0606 is the most contentious, most litigated, most controversial policy statement ever known to this state. So we should get some feedback to Systems on it. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
that, I was going to ask, I forget if we submitted that for EDCC. Could we display that here just for the record to?
It did not clear the approval process, but
It did not.
we intend to have it clear it for the September meeting, at which point, oh, it did? Oh, all right, it did.
It's just a brief portion of it. It's not 0606, it's just the definition.
Correct,
portion.
yeah, just the definition, not only so
Yeah.
that the entire
It
state
cleared,
can see it,
it's-
so we can have a real conversation in the September meetings.
Yep, it's cleared, it's onboardable, it's up. I don't think it's one of the documents that's literally posted. You have to email Teresa, but it's available to everyone. Again, just a reminder why some documents are posted versus email us. We've had issues in the past to where people will Google search something and a draft document or something that's not completed or a working document comes up. So in order to avoid that, they're all public documents. We're happy to share all of them, but there are certain documents that are posted and there are certain documents that we just ask you to email us, and then we will directly reply with the actual documents. That particular one that you're speaking of, though, was approved. We can put it up if you want it up right now. Is that what you'd like?
Yeah, I think not only to make sure that everyone's aware of it, but that so we can really drive the discussion, as it is always a question that constantly comes up. We should put it up here, and
ta-da!
I stalled as long as I could, Teresa, thank you.
I'll wait to see how the stenographer puts that one in.
Do you want me to read this into the record?
Is that a trap to make me read it?
No, I could actually see it from
yes,
here.
could you read it then?
Yeah, so they're drafting a definition of need to say, Ryan, I can't read that one, but I can read the board. Absence of an existing ambulance service is demonstrated by no CON for the territory applied for is the first. Secondly, documented refusal of a CON holder to provide service to the territory as a second bullet. Third, public records documenting 0 responses by the CON holder in a 3-month period. So that would be absence of an ambulance service. The second item is reduced availability of ambulance service is demonstrated by A, an existing CON holder not having provided service to 20% or more of the dispatch calls when at least 150 911 requests are made of the existing CON holders annually. And then there are 3 bullets under that. It's for 3 consecutive months, for 3 out of 6 months, or 5 out of 12 months. There was a discussion at Systems about where did you come up with the 20%. It was not pulled out of thin air. It came from the EMS sustainability report that flagged that as a metric that would be an introductory method for, or introductory metric for services that are having difficulty with sustainability. The next item under that reduced ambulances be demonstrated by is any CON holder who is not meeting the need should evaluate their current operating territory. And then we're striking the next item underneath that, which then leads us to other determinations, including verifiable shall be considered. And then the last bullet is expression of unsupported wishes and desires, including simple preference for the new service, shall not be considered. So that's basically the redefinition of the certificate of need. The stricken section there that currently exists is sworn testimony of public officials representing the localities verifying public need shall be given strong consideration by the SEMSCO, and that's been stricken. So there you have what the proposed new definition of need would be. Sure.
Step up.
Mr.
Step up.
Brandt, could you come up to the microphone and introduce yourself? Rich Brandt has quite a history when he had previously worked for the Bureau dealing with CON issues.
Oh, it's a talk button. Okay, I found it. Okay. No one holds a CON. You hold an operating certificate, either an ambulance service certificate or an advanced life support first response certificate. CON is the process of determining public need. So you might want to consider tuning your language. Just wanted to offer that. Thank you. I'll shut up.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
One question for the chair. So this references the emergency side of it and evaluation on that. What about non-emergency?
We're working on options for the non-emergency side and various options, for interfacilities and even considering community paramedicine and what the need would be there and how that's done. The purpose of getting this up on the screen is to get people to see a very, very draft concept of making something measurable. And, if we weren't going to get chased out of here with baseball bats, to continue to make something measurable.
And they did say that this was specific to 911.
Thank you, and thank you for addressing it. I just know that, some of our more recent CON things that have come up have been related to the non-emergency world, and I just want to make sure that, we are putting those things into consideration as you look at this.
Yes, that is completely on our radar. And again, this was proof of concept to see if everybody hated it or nobody hated it or et cetera.
Okay. Mr. Hudson, does that satisfy your?
Wonderfully done, thank you.
All right. Mr. Devers, you can use this door to avoid the people with the baseball bats that are hiding behind the other door. All right, we'll move along to safety. Andrew Knoll.
Thank you, Chairman McAvoy.
You know what? Hold that thought. I skipped over Al Lewis. Al Lewis, legislative.
I was okay with that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several things. As we know, the $237 billion New York State budget was passed not too long ago. While I have to thank everybody that worked so hard on legislative initiatives, and we had hoped to see some pass, or some in the budget, they're not, and we have a lot of work to do over the next 15 days, hopefully to make some come to fruition. One thing that was in the budget last year, and I think it was just came out in grant form, was $5 million for 8 counties to receive up to $500,000 to begin an ambulance service or shore up an ambulance service. I guess my comment about that is hopefully those agencies that start up partner with existing ambulance agencies. I would hate to see creating the county system eliminates an existing system. That's counterproductive because EMS is in crisis, believe it or not. I guess I should repeat that. EMS is still in crisis. We are dying for employees and we need revenues. Readiness is never reimbursed, and it needs to be for us to be able to survive in this marketplace. So with that said, I hope those 8 counties are very helpful to rural areas. As we know, rural areas EMS has been an Achilles heel for us because volunteers just tire out, age out, and new kids today are reluctant to volunteer. Maybe we can turn that around with this new interest in bringing young kids to the table with us. A few other things. First of all, I think I'm going to ask Steve Kroll to talk about a couple of federal initiatives, EMS initiatives, because what we are doing and what we are hoping to do over the next 16 days dovetails somewhat into what the feds are doing. Mr. Kroll.
Thank you. Thank you, Al. There are a number of major federal legislative initiatives going on that we reported to the committee yesterday. I want to share a reporting of that to you as well. First of all, the treat and place legislation that we're working on here in New York State is a mirror of treat and place legislation that's being worked on at the federal level. If you're interested in the bill numbers, they're S3236 and HR 6257. I have a handout on this if anybody wants it after the meeting, so you don't have to write everything down. Basically, it would allow us to get paid for the treatment we give when we do not transport under the Medicare program. The legislation we're working on in the state is under the Medicaid program. Get both of those done, we'll be in a good place, because then we can go to the private payers and say Medicare and Medicaid are doing it, time to join. In addition, the National Association of EMTs released some information that was provided to them by CMS under a Freedom of Information Act referral about 2 weeks ago. If you're interested in it, just Google Treat and Place under NAEMT or go to NAEMT's website and look for their press statements. And it essentially established, CMS was refusing to release the data from the ET3 program, but the Freedom of Information Act request was complied with, and we have learned that under the ET3 program, the federal government saved an average of $500. Actually, it was more than $500. It was $527 for each patient seen in the ET3 program. In other words, after paying the ambulance service, after paying any telemedicine provider that worked with the ambulance service, the federal government saved $500 or more for each patient by not having there be a hospital bill in the emergency room. So that establishes that at the federal level that the treat and place is something that will save Congress money, save the country money, save the Medicare program money if you adopt it, and it will get us paid for services today that we're forced to provide for free. That $500 number might not be the same for the state Medicaid program, but the folks that do the Medicaid budget analysis are able to take a look at the ratio between Medicare and Medicaid and realize that they'll have savings of several $100s per episode under the Medicaid program doing the treat and place. So that's a major federal initiative. It's been endorsed by AAA, it's been endorsed by NAEMT, it's endorsed by IAFF, so all the EMS associations are working in coalition. The second thing I'll mention is legislation's been introduced to form a $50 million a year program to support community paramedicine in the form of grants to localities and agencies that wish to start programs. It's HR 8042. And this bill would allow grants of up to $750,000 and $50 million a year, so somewhere around 50 to 75 grants each year for programs that want to do community paramedicine and mobile integrated healthcare initiatives. Obviously, we're working on that here in New York State as well. We had the community paramedicine law passed last year. We have one, and we want to make some modifications to it. There's some regulatory work going on. But finding sustainable funding for community paramedicine has eluded many of us in this room. This is a grant program. The money won't last forever. But the more things we get in the hopper, the more likely we are to convince the payers for health care in the long term to start paying for community paramedicine initiatives long term we need insurance companies to pay for it, right? So this will get us more data and information. Also very important to get passed this year is the Protecting Access to Ground Ambulance Medical Services Act. That's S1673, HR 166. We are currently receiving what are called add-on payments to Medicare for ambulance services. Urban agencies receive a 2%, rural agencies receive a 3%, super rural agencies in very small communities receive 22%. Those are funds that were granted us to Congress, and they were only granted to us temporarily. They expire on December 31st, 2024. So if they're not renewed, we would actually see a payment cut. Congress has a lot of different healthcare things that will run out at the end of this year, and there is likely to be a lame duck session of Congress after the election, at which point they will do the kind of business of cleaning up all the things that expire that they don't want to expire. So this is a very important initiative, so we don't see that payment cut. We frankly would like these payments to be permanent. However, that Congress is, they don't do things permanently. They do them a couple years at a time. So we want to push this legislation forward. So the reason I tell you about these three initiatives is everyone in the EMS community can do something to support this. NAEMT has an online legislative service website. If you go to the NAEMT website, you click on advocacy, and then you click on online legislative service. Excuse me. Any member of the EMS community can send letters supporting these bills to their members of Congress in just a matter of seconds. Literally, you fill in all your information, it populates a letter, you hit send, you get a copy of the letter sent to you, it goes directly to your member of Congress. So we talked about that yesterday. We generated a lot of letters out of New York State in the last couple of days. If you are interested in getting an email on how to do it, just give me your email address. I'll forward you the information from NAEMT, again endorsed by AAA. IAFF is on board, so everyone in the EMS community is on board. And this is a way that people can participate in the process of getting these things done, which I think are really complementary with the agenda that all of us have been working towards in New York State. So thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, sir. And you think about that 22% for rural, super rural, that would be a lot of money they would lose if those bills aren't renewed. So vote, get to your federal legislator. Let's get these things done also. So I began by thanking people for working hard on the legislative initiatives we had. NISAC was at the front of the table with us. They partnered with all agencies, and there was a NISAC letter sent out. I'm hoping that I can get this on Boardable or someplace, showing how many of the agencies have supported and continue to support legislation. There's 7 initiatives that are brought forth by NISAC that all of these other agencies support. And I'll just give you a few of them. The S4020, the mayor bill, it talks about essential services. We all want to see that happen at some point. Another bill that's very important to us is TIP and TAD, treat and place and transport to alternate destinations. I've talked about this at this table several times, and we really thought we would get this in the budget. Well, it's not over yet. As I think our chairman said and the director said, we have like 15 days. June 6th is the last day of session. If we pool our resources, and I'm asking you all to call your legislators and talk about these bills. It's imperative that more revenues come into the volunteer groups, the hybrid groups, the paid group, for us to be able to pay our people more and try to balance the scale on their income compared to others. It won't happen unless new revenues come forward. TIP and TAD is new revenues. You think about this. I've said this at the legislative meeting. 1 out of 3 911 requests for many, many ambulance companies is a no transport. 1 out of 3. So that 1 out of 3, you may run 20 miles to a patient's bedside. You may be a diabetic, you wake up, refuses transport, we get paid zero. There's other serious cases that don't end up being transported, or just minor cases that need to be stabilized in some way. And they sign off, don't want to be transported to the hospital. We don't get paid for it. We get paid zero. We're putting all those people out there, wonderful EMS personnel out there, ambulances out there, 911 is out there, and we get paid zero. Now these Medicaid patients, at this point in time, it'd be Medicaid patients if we are successful with TIP and TAD in New York State. But I asked Steve to speak first because it's coming from the feds for Medicare. That's a ton of new money that we can receive if these programs are passed into law. So I encourage you to become involved now, today, tomorrow. We have to talk to our legislators. We have to convince them that these programs that NISAC is leading the charge on and we embrace, we need to work hard to get those done. Call them today, call them tomorrow. And I can't impress upon you enough that these programs are sorely needed for our industry. Other comments anybody has about legislation? I know there's a blood bill out there. It's A5789, blood products bill. We support that. as we know, air flight can carry and manage blood, and ground ambulances need to be able to do the same thing. Air flight can't fly when it's inclement weather, and we can get many times to our patients much faster than air can. It's, you know, it has a lot to do with the geography. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chairman?
Any questions for legislative? I will clarify a couple of items. I did, as you're aware, change the name of several committees earlier this year. Legislative was changed to Legislative and Rules. At this meeting yesterday, I spoke with Al Lewis and said, we now have 5 things that are regulatory initiatives that are going through SEMSCO. And as you recall, last year, our power was expanded to actually propose regulations and get some changes made in regulatory things involving EMS in New York. Those 5 things, as Ryan alluded to earlier, are the education regs, which we will vote on shortly, equipment regs, blood transfusion regs, community paramedicine regs, and the SAPs, this agency and system performance standards. And all of those things are regulatory processes. So because they have kind of floated around over the last year between different committees, we want to funnel those through the Legislative and Rules Committee. And as each one of those topics comes up, we will ask the Legislative and Rules Committee and Al Lewis to form a tag consisting of subject matter experts from the other committees to kind of see those things through so that we don't lose things in the process. So that is a sort of new change and how we'll go forward doing business. The second thing I wanted to mention from earlier is Dr. Isaacs had asked the folks from Med Standards to set up a tag that would deal with education and sharing resources for blood transfusion, because we're kind of on the cusp of that happening. And so the medical standards group with CMAC will set up a group that is a kind of a working group to propagate information about that and help the process once the regs are in place. Dr. Daly, we had approved the motion that had to do with Narcan, and you might want to provide a little bit of background on that motion.
How much background would you like, Mr. Chairman?
A brief synopsis would be good.
More Narcan, not better. Too brief? So I was here for that vote, and I really, frankly, appreciate it. This body's endorsement will go a long way in terms of assisting the commissioner in making the best decision possible for the citizens of New York. The fact that we have a regulation that allows opioid antagonists to be administered without a patient-specific order is a huge help for all of us in public safety. It allows our law enforcement officers, BLS providers, and the public to administer naloxone. The little bit of background, just for people at this table who were not here earlier, we did study high dose versus our current 4 milligram per 1 ml or 0.1 ml intranasal naloxone using state police distribution, and found out that actually there was no difference in the number of doses that were administered between the two doses. There was no difference in survival. In fact, there was 99% survival in both groups as long as the patient was viable on the arrival of the state police officer. And then there was nearly 2.5 times more severe withdrawal and vomiting amongst people who got the 8 milligram formulation. One fear that we certainly had with this was the potential for intranasal nalmefene to be added to that formulary, and additional higher dose naloxone formulations being added to that formulary as well. And your recommendation to the commissioner will go a long way to making sure that he has the support needed in order to carry that forward. There certainly is concern from the public that we need more types of naloxone, stronger formulations given the world of fentanyl that we live in right now. That's just not demonstrated. In fact, we need better respiratory support for these patients because some of the medications that the drug supply is being adulterated with right now don't respond to naloxone but still cause respiratory depression. So we need to work on our education to our providers, to our police officers, and to the public. We need to make sure that people who use drugs recognize they can safely call 911 in New York State if they're concerned about one of their peers. Those are the things we really have to work on there. But thank you all.
Thank you. And thank you for your research helping to protect the health and safety of our state.
Thank you. One other thing, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. There is also another bill out there for something that ended up on the cutting room floor with the budget bill, which is paramedic-initiated buprenorphine, which I unfortunately don't have the bill number on me right now, but it was initiated by Assemblymember McDonald, who is local to us here. He's a pharmacist and is extremely well versed in these things. And the bill itself is nice enough to add only the language we specifically need in Article 33, which is 1 comma and the word paramedic, so that practitioners, paramedics, and registered nurses will be allowed to administer buprenorphine, which is exactly what we need in order to move forward on something that this body put into the protocols 2 years ago. So we're closer.
Thank you. We now can move to Andrew and the Safety Committee.
Thank you, Chairman McAvoy. We were able to have two mental health presentations. The first one was from Mahaney's, so Katie, same presentation that she did at CMAC. And then we were fortunate to have kind of the end project for our mental health tag that we've been working on, that Carl's been working on, but also making some beautiful contacts with the help of Jennifer Solomon with the New York Medical College through Dr. Emily Kaplan. And I'll let Carl talk about that.
So there was a guidance document that was through, well, that's hot. And I'm loud to begin with. No joke. So there are some master students in they're going for their masters in public health. They needed a capstone project. It worked through Dr. Kaplan. She's here in the room today. I want to publicly thank her as well as I thanked her yesterday. She wasn't in person with us yesterday. So 2 of the students came and presented. It was approximately a 25-minute presentation on a guidance document for agencies to have a mental health plan in place or to improve upon what they have. They gave suggestions and a checklist on putting together a peer counseling program and a peer support network and who should be invested in that, and a step-by-step pulling all the research that they did on programs that are currently out there, and a post-vention plan, suicide prevention, and a post-vention plan after someone, unfortunately, like our agency down in New York City, with the amount of suicides we have, there is no post-vention plan there. So the document will be available on Boardable as soon as we receive it. It'll be ready for presentation again in September. My plan is to invite the 2 students that we hear back to give the presentation if they're available and they're willing. If not, it'll be out on Boardable. I'll get it to Andrew, put it up in the safety subcommittee. It'll be in the SEMSCO documents for September for vote. I want to again publicly thank the New York School of Medicine, Dr. Emily Kaplan, and the students that were involved in this project. It was a major undertaking. They did it in a very short amount of time, and it's quite impressive of the document that they were able to get together and the guidance that they're going to get. And this is a culmination of everything that this tag has worked on for the last several years, even through COVID and learning what we learned at COVID and about the mental health of our EMS providers statewide. And just as you heard from Katie earlier on, as a bigger picture, and everybody's been speaking about this at the table along with legislation, that EMS is starting to now be spoken about more at the state level. I spoke with Katie yesterday, and hopefully we'll be able to take this document and shop it around and turn it into some sort of legislation. And we're going to work with our legislative team down in New York City to try to get some legislation to put this through, to not only protect our providers that do volunteer on these peer counseling programs, to be protected from testifying and releasing that medical data that they have for their peers when they counsel them, but also to make this a standard across the state for all of our EMS providers. So I look forward to presenting that in September, along with the students from the New York School of Med. And again, I'd like to thank Dr. Kaplan and her students as well for participating in this program.
Thank you, Carl. I'll just recognize the two students that were here yesterday presenting were Maribel and Abby, so we want to publicly thank them as well. So we look forward to having that presentation in September for the larger group. Continuing to move on, our management of escalation tactics is kind of a little bit in a pause right now. There was an incident that happened in the city of Rochester that's currently under investigation by the Bureau and AMR. The hope is that when that is complete, there will be some best practice guidance that will come from the Bureau on this that we will try to incorporate into that program, but we'll await the final investigation before we continue to move on with that. We continue to work on our hazardous response plan. We are working on putting the survey together. The survey will hopefully be completed by July, that we can get out through the program agencies and also to the county emergency managers, and hopefully get some good data back that we can probably present on in December and continue to move that project forward. Continue to work on the reduction of licensed sirens. Scott has been continuously reviewing information on that, and we'll hopefully have a little bit more information come September. Under new business, we discussed the OSHA 1910.156 standard that is currently out there. For those of you that aren't aware, I encourage you to take a look immediately. The public comment period is closing on June 21st. It will be a heavy lift for some agencies, but I also want everyone to be aware of the financial implications of some of these OSHA changes, which I think is the larger scale issue here for everybody. As far as the state goes, it will be pretty much a smooth transition. We'll have a nice, easy transition deadline to implement these changes. But again, there will be an increased financial responsibility for each agency. And then, let me see, lastly, Rich Parrish is working on writing a letter to OHAP. He was at a tabletop a couple weeks ago, and the hospital gets grant money, and EMS is mandated to be there, and unfortunately EMS does not get any of that money. Rich asked why. He was chosen to write a letter and to work through that, which he graciously accepted and has already started that process, so we look forward to that work in the future. And then lastly, the Commissioner of Health put out a health advisory early today or yesterday as it relates to AEDs and being compatible with pediatric pads. So if you have a LifePak 15, I encourage you to definitely look at this advisory, and also making sure that your pediatric pads are work with both AED and also the LifePak as well. There's an issue with that, so just be aware of it. I know the Bureau is going to post that advisory out far and wide, but also encourage everyone to take that back to their regions and councils. End of report.
Thank you. Any questions for Andrew, safety?
Chair,
Yes.
over here, all the way at the end. The advisory is posted on the EMS for Children's page, and the advisory itself has the links back to the documents that it came from the SEMSCO Pediatric Emergency Care Council, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody here has any.
Sounds good. David Violante, do you want to talk about iGel and then give your quality report?
I would love that. Thank you, Mike.
All right.
So for the iGel program update, we've had some challenges in the past that we've talked about in getting good data beyond the agency. I say that because agencies are really still able to do a lot of quality improvement and get their data at the agency level because they can see all parts and components of their reports. Where that starts to become challenging after that is when the program agency looks for the data or the state looks for the data. Those challenges relate to issues in documenting in the narrative versus in drop-downs, in the agency using the right provider codes or different codes within the system, vendors using the right codes, and then export failures to either the region or the state. After our last meeting, we've spoken with a lot of the agencies involved in the IGL program and the regions and the state and tried to correct as many issues and data transmission issues as possible. So that's all really good news. And I'll share with you the most current data that we have in a brief summary here in a second. Some of our next steps are to concurrently work to help change some of the national standard curriculum to be able to allow BLS providers to use iGels, and also then make a formal presentation to MedStandard, CMEC, and SEMSCO at our next meeting. So, some of the data. The median time from at patient to the first iGel has been 6 minutes. The usual size is number 4. Most of the agencies have really good documented end-tidal CO2s throughout the process. 178 have been confirmed, and I want to clarify some of this. We have 256 uses that are in the state report, and 53 that are not yet in the state report, but that are in a Drupal. What that means is agencies will send us a notification that they've used an iGel, and then we look for that iGel in the state report that we get weekly. And that number at the last meeting was up in the 70s. It's now down into the 50s. That's great news. So we're working with all of the different groups to get all of those numbers into the state report. So out of 256, 178 confirmed. Not all of them are confirmed because some of these agencies have folks that are not completing the resuscitation. So in other words, they call the resuscitation in the field, and so those don't get to get confirmed by either the hospital or some other group that comes in, paramedic group or otherwise. Of the procedures, 241 were successful. That's about 94% of insertions of the ones that are in the state report. Of the adverse events, 237, there are none. The remaining are related to apnea and vomiting. ROSC, we've had 158, which is fantastic. And there are a variety of other parameters that I send out to all of the agencies, program agencies, and medical directors and regions to understand what all of these other outcomes are. And in terms of age, weight, and gender, the median age for this has been 69, weight 86 kgs. And sorry, gents, but there are twice as many males that are in arrest than females. The regions have been really doing a great job with this. Top regions for using this are Central New York, Hudson Valley, Susquehanna, Monroe-Livingston, Mid-State, Finger Lakes, and New York City. So that is the iGel data. I'm happy to take any questions on that before I move on to the quality metrics component. Okay, hearing none, I will move on to the quality metrics report. So we've talked about data movement just now in a lot of areas, and we're really still working with a variety of other committees, the state, agencies, vendors, to get data moving, not only just from the agency to the state, but also out to the hospitals. We do have a web page update. We've been working on that since the last meeting. We'll continue to work on that. If you go to the landing page for the Department of Health Bureau of EMS, over to operations and over to quality improvement, you'll see some updates in there that include the original QI manual that we've worked on. We've pulled out the quick start guide as its own link that's in there, and then a link to the New York State metrics and their parameters for numerators and denominators. So every agency, program agency, group, et cetera, that wants to look at how to do a quality improvement project, they have the ability to do that. A quick way through the guide, and then where the metrics are, what those metrics are, how to use the metrics, what the data is supposed to look like for your numbers, and then how to do run charts and move forward through the PDSA cycle. And so that is now on the webpage. We'll continue to update that and get that looking a little bit better and more easily usable. We're continuing work on policy tag for 1202, 1203, and 2104. One of the last pieces that we had to work on was landing on a definition for patient and patient contact. There's so much variation around the state on this. So much thanks to Milrems and Dr. Cushman, we've landed on something that is, a patient is defined as a person encountered by EMS personnel with an actual or potential injury or medical problem. Encountered refers to visual contact with the patient. These persons may have requested an EMS response or may have had an EMS response requested for them. Due to the hidden nature of some illnesses or injuries, an assessment should be performed on all patients. For patients initially refusing care, an attempt to evaluate the individual, even if only by visual assessment, is expected and must be documented. This all comes to the larger work of policy revision to move it towards regulation, and our group is going to continue that work with some of the recommendations by District Chief Gina Wierzbowski to continue moving forward with this. In terms of our grant updates, we've made a lot of progress with the Department of Health and HRI to identify key personnel and resources to move forward with a variety of grant projects, so stay tuned for that. And at our last meeting, Ryan asked that we assist district chiefs with information and guidance related to quality improvement when doing agency inspections. So we would love to take and are going to take a kinder, softer, gentler, appropriate approach of where are the agencies now, how are they doing, what are their challenges, how can we help them, whether they're real or perceived, and move forward in ways that they need to help doing quality improvement, which includes a one-pager with directions on how to get onto the state website, look at the quality improvement manual, look at the quality metrics that are out there, reach out to any of us if they need help. We're also seeking to engage the program agencies and help them to meet their contractual objective, which is number 6.7 for QI, and so we're working with them on that. In terms of the state, we got a great report from Peter, and Ryan presented most of that information. Alex, I just wanted to reach out and say thanks again for all of your work with the Quality Metrics Committee and the iGel project. It has been immeasurable. Thank God for you being here helping us and helping us sort through the data, get the data, figure it out, and get our weekly reports. It has been just astounding. So thank you so very much for all of your work with that. We are really looking for an improvement, hopefully with the transition to 3.5, that it'll be a little bit easier for agencies and to get data and to do quality improvement using that data set. And so we're looking forward to that again. We did have a presentation from Brian Clemency and Susie Burnett, and they presented that the DOH, CMAQ, and SEMSCO consider contracting with universities on research projects for the state. And then use those research projects and do poster presentations at Vital Signs and present information to groups. The University of Buffalo and others are other interested parties that are academic and medical centers can really help demonstrate the impact of projects on EMS around the state, here in New York State, using the things that we're doing. And an example of that is the iGel project. So we heard from them, and we'll hear more on that as well. Again, thank you to the entire committee. We meet monthly. They do a tremendous amount of work. They're a fantastic group to work with. And again, thanks to the DI team and Alex. The last item we had came as a last new-minute item, that while we look at quality measures for transports and patients, that we really also need to look at any kind of quality measures for non-transport patients moving forward as well. So we're going to consider how we might move forward in that arena too. And with that, that is the end of my report, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any questions for me.
Thank you. Any questions for quality? All right, moving on. Michael Redlener was voted yesterday as the least organized chair and has been sent to a Robert's Rules class. So Dr. Lauren Maloney
No
will
pressure whatsoever at this
will
point.
be giving
Getting
report
my
in
act
his
together.
place. So she is his co-chair.
Halloween has come early, and I'm Michael Redlener today. All right. So first, a great big thank you to everybody on the committee who have worked feverishly to have not one but 2 deliverables, as well as 3. We've also hit our cap of seconded motions. So the Behavioral Health Care Committee subcommittee has been working with OMHS and OASIS as far as coming up with creating a pathway to transport patients to crisis stabilization centers in collaboration with all of the various stakeholders. It's very much intertwined with the Daniels Law Task Force. We have another meeting scheduled for Friday, and we hope to have a document to share at the September meeting with a tad bit more details. Our Mobile Integrated Health and Community Paramedicine Subcommittee, led by Mark Spezio, has worked to create a guidance document in anticipation of the assembly of a stakeholder group in response to the recent changes in legislation. We will note that the document that is available on Boardable was amended in order to emphasize that that a needs assessment might be a little bit much of a barrier, a formal needs assessment. In reality, it should be a community that has a documented need for an MIH or CP program. And with that, we bring forward a seconded motion to send the MIH guidance document to SEMSCO as an official recommendation to go to the CP working group as part of the department.
So that document was posted on Boardable for people to look at ahead of time. Is there any discussion on the motion for this body to forward that to the Community Paramedicine Work Group as a guidance document? If none, all in favor of doing that signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? The same sign. Any abstentions? Carries unanimously.
Moving along to our Essential Services Subcommittee, led by Curtis Hammond. This subcommittee assembled a document to define what essential services means to EMS. We have a tendency of using somewhat random words. It's nice to actually define what that word means, or what we at least mean by that word. And so we recognize that one size most certainly does not fit all, and rather focused on assembling some pillars that are necessary in any system design and putting some detail to that, especially as we have conversations with different stakeholders that might not know our jargon, to have some kind of a resource document. Although the legislation didn't move forward, we think that this is, again, a very helpful opportunity to have to talk with other stakeholders and provide some understanding of what we mean. We also had a question raised. It was an excellent question as far as are we in a situation that we're going to have 50 or so different definitions of essential services, and perhaps we should raise the question to a more national level of what exactly does essential services mean. So that brings forth 2 seconded motions. The first one is to move the essential services document to SEMSCO as an official recommendation to disseminate to the wider EMS community, whatever that might be.
Any discussion on that motion? This document also was cleared the approval process and was posted on Boardable. So the motion is to move this out to the masses as a recommendation for definition of what we mean by essential services. So all in favor of doing that signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? The same sign. Any abstentions? That carries. Thank you.
And for our third and final, to move the essential services document to NEMSAC to identify a definition of essential services, which would be a more national approach.
And NEMSAC is the National EMS Medical Services Advisory Council. And our suggestion is that they consider this as a basis for defining essential service. So any discussion on that motion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? The same sign. Any abstentions? That also carries unanimously.
To wrap it up, we also had a conversation about EMS research priorities and processes, and that it would be lovely if there was some kind of structure on how to access data, how to collaborate with data, pondering, are we enablers of research, which sounds kind of bizarre, hearing that out loud, or are we a research body in and of itself? And so we formed a subcommittee to help at least start to create a process to collaborate with EMS research across New York State. And then that segued into a conversation about innovations in EMS education specifically, as far as how can we showcase, how can we share what folks are doing. And so naturally another subcommittee was made to help straighten that out, along with the training and ed committee with much overlap. So that's about it.
Any questions for Dr. Maloney and the Innovations Committee? All right, if not, the next item on the agenda is DEI, and I don't believe Jared is here. Dr. Rabrich also is not here. He asked me to report that the survey, the DEI survey, has been closed. They're in the process of tabulating the results from that, and we could expect to hear some additional information about it at the September meeting. I think Amy did the EMSC report already, so that item on the agenda has been covered. Do we have any report from STAC that you know of?
Meeting is at the end of the month.
Okay, so their meeting is at the end of the month. Dr. Kurt Edwards, who is a trauma surgeon here in Albany at Albany Med, has apparently, is he here? No. He's been voluntold that he will represent STAC, and so I think we'll be seeing him at some future meetings. Which brings us into old business, the first item of which is to have some discussion about the education regs. These obviously came from this body originally. They went through T&E, they came to this body, they then went out for public comment. During public comment, they did not receive any substantive comments from the public, which would have required them to be edited and go out again. That did not happen, so they're coming back now to this body for approval. If approved by this body today, they would then go to the commissioner to actually be promulgated. That would take roughly about 4 to 6 weeks, correct, Ryan? And it would require some policy changes and statements to be done as well, so they wouldn't happen instantaneously. But I think you have all read them and seen them, so I would entertain a motion to approve those by this body. Mr. Lewis, seconded by Mr. Kim. Any discussion on those regulations? If not, it's statutory, so I would have a roll call vote, please.
Steve Cady,
Steve Cady, yes.
Scott Clark,
Scott Clark, yes.
Dr. Krupe,
Dr. Krupe, yes.
Mark Devers,
Yes.
Don Duval, Mickey Fornes,
Mickey Fornes, yes.
Carl Gandolfo,
Carl Gandolfo, yes.
Greg Gill, Jason Haig,
Haig, yes.
Teresa Hamilton,
Teresa Hamilton, yes.
Don Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Dr. Isaacs,
Isaacs, yes.
Al Kim,
Al Kim, yes.
Steve Kroll,
Kroll, yes.
Andrew Knoll,
Andrew Knoll, yes.
Al Lewis,
Al Lewis, yes.
Mike McAvoy,
McAvoy, yes.
Elizabeth McGowan,
Elizabeth McGowan, yes.
Carla Simpson,
Carla Simpson, yes.
Christopher Smith,
Chris Smith, yes.
Chad Smith,
Chad Smith, yes.
Dave Violante.
Violante, yes.
Motion passes.
That would be the first regulatory change in
Over 20 years.
over 20 years. Okay, very good.
Again, just want to say thank you to everybody who helped in this process. I know it was long. It's a learning curve for us as well in the Bureau as we are doing regulatory changes in these packets. So hopefully the next couple don't take as long. But this is a big step forward for everyone. And just remind the providers and things that will be affected by this, it had a lot more than just moving from a 3-year to a 4-year certification in it. There's a lot of good things in there. So thank you to everyone for this. Exciting times.
Thank you. Our next item under old business is Chief Gregory Miglino from the South Country Ambulance Service wants to address us with regards to the letter that we published in Boardable from his service. So, Chief?
I'm not used to using this mic, so I'm assuming it's working. Thank you, Chair McAvoy, Chief Greensburg, members of the SEMSCO for giving me the opportunity to address this body today regarding an action taken at your February 2024 meeting concerning the position of the New York State EMTCC. At that meeting, this body voted to recommend to the New York State Health Commissioner the sunsetting of the EMTCC in July of 2027. This was surprising and distressing, to say the least. Until yesterday at the Education and Training Committee meeting, I had heard no single substantive rationale for taking a vote on or actually acting on the elimination of the EMTCC. Yesterday, I heard a member say it was to smoke people out. If that was the goal, it worked. Because you now have my attention and that of many others who, in 2017, had been told this was never going to be an issue. Accordingly, I'm here to request that the February vote and the recommendation be rescinded, and that the role of the EMTCC be left intact as it is represented in our current New York State collaborative protocols. Furthermore, I'm requesting that the SEMSCO move with haste to reauthorize the EMTCC original classes and table any discussion on sunsetting the paramedic bridge programs until such time that practicing EMS staffing levels return to pre-pandemic numbers at a minimum. According to Mark Twain, there are three types of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. With that in mind, when I use numbers, understand they come from both the New York State Department of Health and the New York State Comptroller, and were all that were available when my comments were drafted. In 2017, when this body voted to end the original classes for the EMTCC, it did so with the intent that the EMTCC role could be filled with the creation of more practicing paramedics via original paramedic classes and a bridge program that would transition EMTCCs into paramedics. 7 years later, the data is in, and the data shows the attempt to reach that objective has fallen short. Since 2019, at almost every practicing provider level, New York State has hemorrhaged EMS providers. Between 2019 and 2022, New York State lost 28.8% of its practicing paramedics and 43.2% of its EMTCCs, totaling an overall reduction in ALS providers statewide of 31%. In just 1 year alone, between 2019 and 2020, New York State suffered a net loss of 3,327 paramedics, dropping from 10,584 to just 7,257. During a 3-year span from 2020 to 2022, from Montauk to Niagara Falls, New York State netted only 281 new practicing paramedics, or added roughly 94 practicing paramedics a year to the system to help cover the approximately 2.8 million yearly EMS alarms. With such lethargic growth, if that trend were to continue, it will take 33 years or until the year 2058 to get back to the 2019 paramedic staffing levels. This practicing ALS provider reduction and stagnation couldn't be occurring at a worse time. The anemic provider growth is unfortunately coupled with a call volume explosion that has increased by roughly 300,000 calls during the same time frame. Worse yet, although I have not seen a report with aggregate numbers for 2023, most major areas I have researched, including my own, are reporting record annual call volumes. Considering the current state of affairs, with the tremendous hurdles EMS is facing, is now really the right time for SEMSCO to seriously contemplate eliminating this position. A position that brings with it a scope of practice and a wealth of talent that has successfully served this state for over 45 years. The introduction of the AMT just a few years back and its limited scope of practice as outlined in the collaborative protocols, however well-intentioned, does almost nothing to assist agencies seeking a relief valve for the lack of available practicing paramedics or ALS in general. In looking at the collaborative protocols and comparing the roles of the AMT and the EMTCC as it pertains to standing orders and skill sets, it's apparent, even to the late Ray Charles, that the AMT is no replacement for the EMTCC in its current form. That is not to say the AMT has no value. In fact, I support its addition to the list of credentialed positions available to a person seeking to expand their role in EMS. Over time, it may develop like the EMTCC did and even become the full replacement for the EMTCC. But until then, it remains a poor substitute for a time-tested and field-proven vehicle that can deliver a better matrix of ALS products to a patient when a paramedic is not available. While we are struggling to recruit and retain providers, while the EMS safety net is strained to the point of almost being broken, while providers seem to be burning out at an alarming rate, while funding and economics threaten to sink organizations and municipalities, I believe we need to stick with what is proven, time-tested, and a cost-effective option. It is my belief that SEMSCO needs to allow each region to have the ability to utilize every tool in the box to fix problems and shore up numbers, so as EMS leaders, we can protect life. I thank you for your time, and I will, to the best of my ability, answer any of your questions, should you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to ask questions at this point?
Sure. Sir, I'm curious about your call volume, your number of advanced life support providers, and your agency's annual budget, and the number of ALS agencies in your catchment area.
Sure. Our call volume last year peaked for the first time in 84 years at 4,176. Of those calls, we had approximately, because there's a couple calls where we couldn't field an ALS provider, but I would say roughly about 12 to 1,800 of those calls were ALS in nature, and I would say 98% of the time we had an ALS provider available. As for the number of ALS providers, like the cohorts that I mentioned, it's down substantially in the last 5 years. We've gone from having 26 to where we have 13 credentialed personnel that are actively practicing as ALS providers. And you had asked about the number of ALS providers in the area. I come from the county of Suffolk, or the Suffolk-Remsco region, and I believe that all agencies now, with the exception of one or two, are credentialed at the AS level. I believe Paul Mara from Suffolk EMS is here, but it's in the neighborhood of 100 and something agencies, 110 to 115, with a county call volume of about 170,000 calls a year, which is up since 2019 by 22,000. And so, despite the fact, as you bring up, there's a lot of agencies, the system is hemorrhaging people quickly. We're not replacing them quickly. And despite the fact, I think you also asked about money. I come up here coming from a community that comparatively to the rest of the state is wealthy. My budget is $2.8 million to run my organization, of which we have a support staff. We don't technically pay any EMS providers, but we do have staff that are credentialed as ALS providers or BLS providers that can go on calls if they're needed. They're custodial staff or otherwise. But I would say now, where budgets were probably 25% salaries, they've moved to the neighborhood of 50. Most municipal budgets, I ran a school district for a little while and been involved with government, roughly run 80 to 85% for municipal salaries, benefits, to include retirement. So I heard a gentleman here before talking about money. Money is going to become a huge issue for individuals. But down where I am, even throwing money at people where medics were making roughly $50,000 to $60,000 just 2 to 3 years ago, and have starting salaries between $80,000 and $100,000 right now, there are not enough providers. And as we all know, we cannot make paramedics overnight. So if we wanted to pay them $250,000, unless they're moving here from out of state or someplace else, there just aren't enough. And that's why it's critical to have a relief valve, and that's what the EMTCC had provided.
I've got to take issue with your stance that the sunsetting of EMT critical care was a surprise. I was part of this group in 2017, 2018, when we debated long and hard and made a decision to sunset the EMT critical care level. I was a critical care tech as I started my career. I spent a few years as a critical care tech. But at the time, I believed, as I still do, the critical care tech program was born of necessity, but honestly has lived past its usefulness. There are numerous paramedic programs available that were not available when I started. There are bridge programs consistently, and those bridge programs have been well advertised and well attended by areas and providers and agencies much smaller than Long Island, with far fewer providers, and they've managed to rise and meet the challenge. And I find it hard to believe that this truly was a surprise to you in February that sunsetting was going to eventually happen.
So if I could take those one at a time. It was a surprise because in 2017, when it was brought forward, our representative at the time, or one of them was Robert DeLaghi. I received a personal phone call back then and was told that although we were not going to produce any new classes with the goal of moving forward and transitioning people over to medic, anybody that was a CC would be able to continue in perpetuity to recertify. That was the surprise. As for outliving its useful life, I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't more strongly disagree. And if you were seeing it from my view, because I don't know what your view is or where you come from, you would almost believe that statement was ignorant. On Long Island, we have a series of people that engage in a lifestyle that is expensive. We do not have or are not breeding enough people that are interested in entering paramedicine because it does not provide for them a lifestyle or an economic engine to support a family. What you do have is a series of people that cannot leave their jobs that do support their lifestyle, that are willing to ramp up over 600 to 700 hours to perform a series of advanced life support skills that assist us. Currently, in my own department, I have a young woman who is an RN. She is in the process of trying to have a child. She is a CC. She may be one of my best ALS providers as she runs an ER, runs codes all the time. I will say to this individual, who has told me unequivocally she has no time to do a bridge right now, that she will be out of the system come July 2027 if I don't find a vehicle to make her a medic. I understand there are multiple vehicles out there that work for everybody. But as the boat is going down, that's not the time to start telling people, we don't need you to help bail. We need the availability of every position until we right this ship. What works in Greene County, Clinton County, or Livingston County may not work in Suffolk County. In my research in the last few months of doing this, I've taken a look at this organization. Region 1 represents over 63% of the population of the state of New York. Nassau and Suffolk taken alone are larger than 13 states. Yet we had a white paper that I read that was produced, that was an excellent document, long in coming, that doesn't cite or have as part of its staff or contribution a single person from Nassau or Suffolk. That seems unimaginable. So when I come to this body today, that's an advisory board to the Commissioner of Health, and ask for something, it's not because I don't want to see us all move to paramedicine. It's not because I'm against an AMT. It's because I know what works for us. I know that in my 20 by 90 county, if I'm given the ability to continue to produce EMTCCs, I will have a resource that is already time tested and proven to work until we can come to a conclusion down the road of where we're going to come up with these additional ALS paramedic providers. Again, I want to thank everybody for their time, and I do appreciate everybody's work.
Just for the record, sir, I would let you know that I did vote to not set a hard sunset date. I believe, as Mr. Delagi told you, and I voted in that direction, similar to what Texas did with paramedics. So you understand, at least partially, where I'm thinking. But I think it's also short-sighted to not embrace the current national standard AEMT. Like I said, I was a critical care tech for a while. I've been a paramedic for long enough to realize that even in my rural areas, 95% of what I do could be done by an AEMT. So, over the past number of years, there's been discussion about skills dilution and do we have too many paramedics? Do we not have too many paramedics? I think at this point, we're not utilizing the most current incarnation of a system, and that's a system that's in line with the national scope of practice model. So I can't imagine a region or a county with 110 ALS agencies packed into one county. I have 4 across 3 counties. And we have managed to build a system with no critical care techs left in the system. Everybody has moved without regard for the sunset or the ending. Everybody's made the move to the paramedic level. And we're now working on developing a more robust AEMT level. And I really urge you to sit back and think a lot about that, and think about the fact that the AEMT is a lot more robust, I think, than you give credit for. My first AEMT card, I could do an esophageal obturator airway, and I would hazard that half the people in this room don't know what that is.
Again, I don't want to belabor the meeting because I saw how the chair handles his 3 proposition rule. That being said, I respect where everybody comes from. I don't think anybody who's known me in the 33 years I've been in EMS would say that I ever sit back on anything. I don't intend to sit back or go quietly into the wind. I've been the chief of this organization, which has been named by this body the #1 agency in the state at a period of time, for 27 years. And I could tell you that this is the worst that I've seen the EMS system in that 27 years as far as having the availability of providers. And so I won't go quietly into the wind until I know that everybody in my community is safe and gets the kind of care they need. And again, I would say I do appreciate everybody's time and input. You'll see more of me, and I can assure you, you'll hear more of me. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for traveling up here and spending time to address us today. Much appreciated. Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? All right, we have 2 additional items on the agenda under new business, and I'll give a brief update on the Royal Ambulance Task Force presentation. They have their, oh, there you go. You can do it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Royal.
So I just want to give a brief update on the Rural Ambulance Services Task Force. We've met since January of 2023 until the work completed in mid April of 2024. Extensive work went into the project. Task force held several meetings. We engaged a medical director and a writer. We conducted surveys, had meetings with new EMS leaders, new EMS practitioners. We conducted several town hall style meetings over a variety of time, interviewed all county EMS coordinators, and analyzed several reports and data points. The comprehensive report will include 37 recommendations, which have been placed into 3 categories: immediate, intermediate, and long-term, but all of which are recommended to begin upon release of the report. Many of these initiatives align with all of these discussions that we're having here these 2 days. The document at this point has been through the design and formatting phase and will be going to the EDCC process within the next few days. So we're anxious to see that document released in the really near future. Just to tack on to what Mr. Lewis said as well, the New York State Association of Counties has done a remarkable job. Their website is nysac.org. And I want to take one more brief minute to just say actually that I just received an email through them, and I think that it's timely with what Mr. Lewis asked. If you are interested in receiving this, please come here and write your email address, and I will forward it to you immediately. But it's a request for EMS agencies. Dear coalition partners, thank you so much for signing on to the Rescue EMS letter. Received correspondence from, and this just came out at 4:19 today. Correspondence from Assembly Central staff along with a few members of the legislature. We desperately need as many memos in support as possible within the next 24 hours. And so there are 3 attachments here that I will absolutely get out to you. But please, if you care to receive these, come here and give me your email address and I'll get them out to you tonight and distribute it as wide as you can across the state. This is within the 16 days, and now it sounds like it's now within 24 hours. So I certainly think that that would be beneficial to us. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to the report. The credentialing is the next item on the agenda. That was already discussed. I will throw out there that the Bylaws Committee met on Friday and looked at our bylaws. We have obtained some documents from the 62 some other councils and looked at other councils that have statutory authority such as us. Kind of brings it down to FIPIC. And when we reviewed the FIPIC bylaws, about 75% of their bylaws are actually ethics considerations, which is where we have the most controversy. So we have split our work up into looking at ethics, comparing FIPIC bylaws to ours, to the actual statutory requirements for ethics in council bylaws. And then our other task is to look at committee structure and how the committees are actually defined and regulated in the bylaws. So we anticipate having a draft to you of some bylaw revisions for the September meeting, unless someone on the bylaws committee is assassinated prior to that. So any other items that people want to bring up from the floor? If not, Beth?
Going back to our previous bylaw discussions, were the December 12th, 2000 bylaws ever posted in Boardable and or distributed to the membership so that we had what was considered the most current set of bylaws?
I do not believe they were. However, I have just gotten my hands on the most recent set of them, and I will post them onto Boardable tomorrow so that they're available to the entire SEMSCO.
Thank you.
That said, I will call on Valerie Oska to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting for SEMSCO? Carl Gandolfo.
Carl Gandolfo,
Dr.
make
Kim,
that motion.
Mr. Gill.
Thank you all, and thank you, Valerie.